We have plenty to cover today. This is a picture, if you can switch my screen. This is a picture I took as I was running. And I just stopped there and took the picture and didn't even realize there's a little grasshopper there, posing for the picture. So yeah, I got it there just right on the money there in Pennsylvania. A reminder, I have this book, Pandemic Busters. So if... One? I have it. Yes, in my room. So that's your textbook for everything we're going to be talking this week. So yeah, if anybody's interested, we can talk about it there. So you can get a copy of this book. And I'm going to be citing some of my research. You can find my research there on that ResearchGate page, as well as I'm going to be citing some of my tweets. The Twitter is there, Eddie RDMD. There's that YouTube page there also. It's completely free. EddieRamirez.com. And also that Instagram page if you want to come and see what I'm seeing around the world. Yesterday we were just outside here, and there was this kookaburra just posed there like perfectly, You couldn't get a better picture with the light and the pose and everything. Go and see it there in that Instagram page. I just got it there right on the money, that kookaburra. A few things I put on my Twitter. This one, very interesting study. Why sitting down too long is not for you. It increases your risk of stroke. So even if your work involves, sitting down for long periods of time, you have to be getting up on a regular basis. Put a timer so that it reminds you, to be getting up so that you can move the circulation. This other one, oldest man on the world, they asked him, what's the secret of your longevity? He said, always smile. And 2, don't get angry. When you get angry, you generate those oxygen-free radicals. This other one, interesting study, how many of the new drugs that are in the market that you see all the time on television and the newspapers and everywhere, they're not necessarily better than their genetic counterpart. They have a better marketing. They're going to try to convince you, this is the one you need to ask your doctor for, and so forth, but may not necessarily be better. So always, ask, is there any other option, and so forth. This one, very interesting study about caffeine, how it affects sleep, because it blocks the melatonin. And the melatonin is one of the most important hormones in your body. Melatonin is what keeps you young. So people that don't have enough melatonin literally age faster. And also those people that use it as a pre-workout supplement, also that one interferes with your sleep. So you find those and many more like that there on that Twitter account. So let's talk about the lifestyle medicine, the answer. Let me tell you how I got into lifestyle medicine myself. I originally studied computer science, and I thought that's just what I was going to do with my life. Companies such as Apple and Adobe and these big players of today, they were just in the beginning stages, and I thought that's what I was going to do with my life. But when I was in my last semester of my undergraduate, my friends started running, so I started running with them, and it ended up being that I was always the last place among my friends. And I say, this is not right. I need to do something to improve my times. So what I did, I went and started reading in the university library, what are the people that are winning the race? What type of things are they doing? And that's when I found out that most of those professional runners that win the 10K and the half marathon and so forth, they're on a plant-based diet. That's one of their secrets. So I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to try that. Let's see what happens if I switch my diet. Sure enough, I switch my diet. I start becoming so fast, I even got some first places in my town. I mean, I could see my times improving. This was not, psychological. Oh, I feel better and so forth. Yeah, you do feel better, but also the performance starts changing. In fact, not only my times improve, also it was my best semester throughout all my career. All my notes were top notes as I finished that last semester. So that's when my interest in a little bit on health started. And as I finished my bachelor's in computer science, in front of my university, there was a research institution that was offering master's degree. I applied, they gave me a full scholarship. And while I was waiting to start that master's degree, I went to visit a brother of mine that was working in a lifestyle center. Now, I have never heard such place. And I was just there for the weekend, supposedly. And the doctor in charge of the institution, when he heard that I knew about computers, this was 1994, when there was very few people that knew about computers. Internet was just starting to be, popular in many places. So when he heard that I knew about computers, he approached me and he asked me, this weekend that you're here, he said, would you mind helping me with some of the computer problems I have in my office? And I said, sure, I'll be happy to help you. In 1 weekend, I fixed most of his major computer problems. He was so impressed, he offered me a job on the spot. And to me, it was confusing. I'm supposed to start a master's degree. He's invited me to join his staff. I cannot do both things because of geography. I have to decide to do one or the other. And I decided not to do my master's degree and rather start working in that lifestyle center, and my life changed completely. When I started seeing how disease was being reversed, I'll share with you a few examples in a minute, I said to myself, you know what? Computers are nice, but this is what I need to do with my life. And that's when the desire to go into medical school and prepare myself further opened up. I also work in this lifestyle center that is located next to the faces of the presidents. That famous mountain there, just 15 minutes from there. Very interesting story how they built these faces and so forth. Also, I work in Hawaii because it was an intermediate point. We were doing lifestyle programs for Asians in America and in Asia. So that's kind of a central point, and we were able to help them there. Also, I work in Norway for many years. I speak Norwegian because I used to live there for many years at this lifestyle center called Fredheim. Usually I even go there, once a year to give him a hand. And I also work with Dr. Neil Nedley for close to 20 years, as well as Weimar University. And I was also involved in leading a nonprofit in Pennsylvania for a few years. So one of the cases I saw when I was in that first lifestyle center was a man with a condition called ankylosing spondylitis. If you have ever seen one of these people, you cannot forget them. The spine of those people fuses. So they move like a robot, because they cannot move their spine. And this particular patient, he was a scientist, he was a very well-known researcher, but he had this very, debilitating disease. And he came there and he left that place moving his spine. I mean, this is unheard of. You don't see this type of things anywhere else. In fact, I remember years later when I was in my training of medical school, there was this patient that entered the room that had this condition. I could see him, because of the way he was walking and moving. So then my supervising physician asked me, Dr. Ramirez, what does that patient have? Oh, he has ankylosing spondylitis. You're like, wait, did you read the file? How do you know that? Well, you cannot forget, once you see one of these cases. But anyhow, this patient, absolutely impressive change. We had another lady, she was a photographer for National Geographic, very important photographer, and she had such severe rheumatoid arthritis, she couldn't work. She couldn't even click the camera. That's how severe her disease was. I saw it with my own eyes. That lady left the institution pain-free. As well as neuroplasticity cases. One example, this lady, she had an aneurysm in her brain, and they decided to do a surgery, and as they were doing the surgery, they caused a stroke on this lady. So she woke up, from the surgery without being able to move her right arm or right leg. And I saw it with my own eyes. That lady left walking from that institution. So after seeing such miraculous things, I said, you know what? This is what I need to do with my life. So lifestyle medicine is able not to treat disease, but to reverse disease as well as to prevent many conditions. For some people, when they hear lifestyle medicine, immediately they think prevention. And yes, it does prevent a wide variety of conditions. But it not only prevents, it's able to treat many conditions. So the optimal lifestyle program is going to consist of that wholesome, whole food, plant-based diet. It's going to consist of managing your levels of stress. As you know, stress is a big killer, and you need to manage that correctly. The reason why many people tend to fall into addictions and this type of things, well, they're trying to manage their stress in the wrong way. And that's why, these things at the beginning may sound comforting and so forth, but at the end of the day, they make your condition worse. You need to find healthy ways of dealing with that stress. Moderate stress and that psychosocial support. And this is a huge issue here in Australia. We have a lot of lonely people. People that are disconnected, and this is very well researched. That is not good for your health. So lifestyle medicine is the right idea at the right time. As you're aware, amount of disease worldwide is increasing tremendously, and lifestyle medicine has a solution for the majority of those conditions. So the issue is that sometimes we think that, they're going to find that right pill and so forth. No, they're not going to find it. This is not about taking the most expensive pharmaceutical and so forth. It's about going back to the basics and applying those well-researched, evidence-based steps to make changes in your lifestyle. And even insurance companies and so forth, they're realizing that this is the future. I mean, what is more expensive, to help somebody make their proper changes, or to pay for a major heart surgery to bypass a heart? It's just simple mathematics. What is easier to help somebody with type 2 diabetes reverse their condition, or having to pay, multiple pharmaceuticals and procedures and all kinds of complications? It is more economical to do the lifestyle changes. An example of somebody that was transformed by this lifestyle medicine is Dr. Kim Williams. Dr. Kim Williams, a cardiologist, one day he got this patient, and he had, severe case of heart disease. So he wanted to first manage him with medications. So he loaded him up with all these medications and so forth, and then send this patient home and told him, look, I want to see you in a month and a half. So he went home, and the patient went to the internet and started searching, and he found lifestyle medicine. So he started making all the proper changes and so forth. He comes back a month and a half, and Dr. Williams can literally see, the change in this patient, and he was like, oh, I see you're taking all your medications and so forth. Did you? No, I didn't take any. What did you do? He said, well, I found this, physicians, which I happen to be co-authors in a nutrition book with them. And I started, making those proper changes and so forth. You can see my blood pressure just came down to normal levels. You just check my cholesterol. My cholesterol is just in totally normal level. My levels of inflammation went down. The beginning of my insulin resistance now is corrected. I mean, everything was impressively reversed. So after seeing that patient, that left Dr. Williams thinking, you know what? I myself have problems with insulin resistance. I myself have problems with cholesterol. I'm going to look up these physicians that this patient found. Let's see if it's true or is some sort of fad, thing in the internet. No, sure enough, this is the real thing. So he himself started making the changes. And very soon he was able to get off all his personal medications. He is somebody with a lot of leadership abilities. So he was selected to be the president of the American Cardiology Society. And he just started, rebuking all these cardiologists. He said, you guys, you need to go and read the literature. You need to go and see how we can actually stop many of the conditions that we're treating just with medications, and we're not dealing with the cause of the problem, are potentially reversible. And he has, written multiple articles. This one is from the New York Times. Advice from a vegan cardiologist, talking about, how you're able to reverse all those conditions by dealing with the proper risk factors. So the new guidelines, lifestyle changes, and medical therapy should be mainstay for most patients with stable heart disease, focusing on eliminating all unhealthy behaviors. It was a major paper, published by most of the most influential, medical societies in the world. So as you can see, what I'm talking about is no fad there. I mean, this is where medicine is going. So by embracing this, you're going to be ahead of the curve. For all patient groups, the current consensus emphasizes that lifestyle modification remains a critical component of heart disease risk reduction. So what is the cause? It's this classic illustration, as if the faucet is broken and the water is pouring out on the floor. There are two ways of solving this problem. You can spend the time with the mop, picking up that water from the floor. You kind of solve the problem, but it's a hard work and it's a never-ending work. Or I have a better idea. Why don't we fix the faucet? Don't you think that would be a better idea? So by fixing the faucet, then the water doesn't need to be dropping on the floor and you don't need to be mopping it. See, dealing with many of these conditions just with medications is like that mop. It's just a never-ending cycle. Like I've seen, I remember when I was in my training, as people got diagnosed, for example, with hypertension for the first time, they would ask the physician, doctor, for how long am I going to take this medication? Well, looks like this is going to be for the rest of your life. Instead of telling them, look, why don't we try, to do some lifestyle changes? Let's see, if we can, improve this lifestyle, this high blood pressure, and so forth. So the body has amazing capacity for healing, and healing quite quickly. For example, something I've been involved for more than 20 years is mental health. And I've seen this so many times, how we have been able to reverse most of the cases of depression. This is my study. You can find it there on that research gate that I told you. And in this study, we have a nice big sample. 1,000 of our patients are there. And in a matter of only 10 days, this is how fast you can help with depression. So you can see on the left side, the depression, nice and high. In a matter of 10 days, depression comes down to minimum, which in that scale happens to be no depression. And you can see very similar results regarding anxiety. Doctor, what pill do you use? No pill. We deal with the root causes of depression. We even published this article telling you about those causes of depression. And by the way, if any of you is going to get this book that I was telling you that I wrote, you want to read chapter 20, 21, and 22. In those chapters is where I deal with that concept. And basically, what we do, as we try to find the root cause of the problem, we have this that we call the 10-hit hypothesis. So these are the groups of causes of things that trigger a depression. So by identifying which factors of those the patient currently has, and by reversing them, mental health is going to start improving quite fast as you deal with the root causes. So let's just go quickly to some of the other conditions. What about heart disease? Can we do something about heart disease? Number one killer of Australians. That's the number one reason why Australians die here in this country. Well, there's studies all the way from 1978. In this study, these patients were put in intensive lifestyle changes, the plant-based diet, the exercise, stop smoking, improvement in their sleep, and so forth. And you can see in a matter of a month, this is a special study that analyzes how much blood is reaching the heart. In a matter of 1 month, patients that had this pain in the chest because their arteries were so clogged, the pain went away because the heart started healing. And this also was published, one of these interventions back in 1983, showing how the ability of the heart to pump the blood started improving. The heart started to heal. While the control group that was not doing the changes actually got worse. The heart of these people started getting in really big trouble. There was an 84% reduction in the frequency of angina, those chest pains that get the person with heart disease, after 14 days. And a reduction of 91% of those cases of angina after 24 days. I'm telling you, this is powerful. Now, the sad part about this, in my training, I was able to talk pretty much to all the cardiologists in town. None of them knew about this. To me, this is shocking. I mean, your cardiologist, you focus on helping people with heart problems. Why don't you know this? It's there in the scientific literature. You should read the scientific literature. And then another study that further on was done called the Lifestyle Heart Trial. It was shown how, when you measure the arteries of the heart, today we have the technology to see, how much blockage you have in that heart. You can see that in a matter of 1 year, on the green, the artery starts to open up. The heart is healing. Well, the people that just follow the normal medical care, they take their pills, they eat their chicken and low-fat dairy and so forth, what the classic, counsel is, which doesn't work, because you can see after 5 years, severe increase in the rate of the atherosclerosis versus the ones on the right following that wholesome plant-based diet. The artery is healing. The patient is avoiding that stroke or that heart attack. And this is interesting. None of the patients in the experimental group, the one that was doing the lifestyle changes, took any medication to lower that cholesterol, those statins. Yet the people taking the drugs, it didn't solve the problem. You needed the lifestyle changes to solve that problem. So another problem with those medications to lower cholesterol is that statins increase the risk of developing type 2 diabetes by 46%. So here we are, trying to solve one thing with the pill, but now we're causing another problem. That's not good. There was a 40% reduction in the LDL cholesterol in the first year without cholesterol-lowering blood. That LDL cholesterol is what's going to cause you the heart disease. And there was a 4% improvement in that blood that is reaching the heart. The heart is literally healing as the person is making these changes. So you can see here, with the studies, how on the left, the more orange dark you see, it means more blood. So you can see the one at the beginning, man, that heart needs a lot of blood. There's just not enough blood reaching there because the arteries are clogged with atherosclerosis. So after the lifestyle changes, you can see on the right how that blood flow increased beautifully in that heart. The heart started to heal. 99% of the patients stopped or reversed their heart disease after 5 years. And this is published in journal JAMA, one of the top journals in the world, after making those right steps. And the nice thing about it, and that it was showing here, the more the patient followed the program, the more healing took place. So this is dose related. Those people that say, well, I'm going to do kind of halfway the program. Well, you're going to get halfway your results. That's just the way that it works. You need to embrace it with all your heart. And there were 2.5 times as many cardiac events in the control group as in the lifestyle group. And there was even a television interview and so forth. Maybe another time I can show it to you. And they interviewed this patient, one of the participants. The guy had such severe heart disease, he needed a heart transplant. That's what the doctors told him. He went ahead and participated of the lifestyle changes. His heart healed. He no longer needed the transplant. Isn't that beautiful, This is the amazing thing of lifestyle changes. This is the actual patient there that I'm talking about, how it increased that. What about prostate cancer? Big cancer here in Australia, by the way. Well, in this study, what they did, they had these patients diagnosed with prostate cancer, and they put them on the right lifestyle. And you can see the PSA is a marker that we take to see the status of the disease of the prostate. You can see there on the green, the patient PSA started decreasing, meaning that the prostate started to heal. in this same story. The more you follow the program, the more healing in the prostate that took place. And you can see this is absolutely impressive. When they measure how much the growth of the tumor was happening, you can see the tremendous decrease in the size of that prostate. And here you can see the image. You know, you don't need to have a radiology degree to understand this image. You can see the patient at the beginning and then the patient at the end of 1 year. What's happening to that cancer? It is literally shrinking. So what about gene expressions? Can we change the gene expressions with lifestyle changes? Well, in this published paper, they documented that those changes in your lifestyle literally affect 501 genes. We need to understand there's genes of disease, there is genes of health. Your choices are either activating the genes of disease or the genes of health. And you can see here, let me tell you how you interpret this. This is the patients with genes that can trigger breast cancer and prostate cancer. The red, it means the cancer gene is activated. And then you can see after 3 months on the right side, where you see the green, it means those genes were turned off. Isn't that beautiful? You know? So you don't need to wait until the doctor hands you down a cancer diagnosis to make these changes. As you make these changes, those cancer genes are actually being decreased or being turned off. So the genes are not our fate. What about cellular